Wow. Wow.
Hey man,
Hello. How are
Aiden,
you, man?
you here?
Yes, I can hear you, but sometimes like the connection is bad, but I think it's gonna like be solved in a bit. Can you say
Good.
something?
There's a bit of a
What?
delay. It feels like there's
I
a few
see.
seconds of delay. But how are you, man? Good night. It's good morning for me, but good night for
And
you.
good morning for you. I'm doing great. What about you?
Good. Just starting my day.
I
Thanks for having me.
see. I mean, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. I think that 2 days ago, I just realized that I've been following you in Vimeo since the beginning, and I I remember that I've been watching the video that you made with your wife on the honeymoon,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like, wow, I want to do stuff like that. And turns out that I kind of like been doing my own stuff, and I was not that great with the Vimeo search, and I just realized that, my God, I mean, like it's been 5 years, and it's just epic. So yeah.
How are you doing? Where
Um,
where are you where are you at right now? You're in Kazakhstan, right?
yes, we are in Kazakhstan, in Almaty, sitting
Almaty,
in
yeah.
the office. Yeah, and man, I just realized that I actually got a little bit nervous. My God, I was like, you know that 15 minutes ago, I was just sitting like, I don't feel nervous talking to Diego. Like,
No,
not at
man.
all. I'm gonna make it. But turns out, wow. Okay, I think it's just more about like language barriers and stuff. But
Well, that's
I
fine.
promise you, I'm gonna, yeah.
I'm not a native English speaker, so we're both
Oh, I
speaking
see.
a different language
We
here, okay?
are. I get it. I get it. Listen, Ali told me that we don't have that much of time, so I mean, like, it's not gonna be like 3 hours long, and we're just gonna talk about half an hour.
No,
So I
that's fine,
think
man.
that we.
Let's just chat and let it flow. Whatever happens for
I
how long it
see.
goes, it's
I
fine.
see. I see.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was really surprised when I was talking with my colleague, and he told me that you used to work as an art director in BBDO agency in New York.
Yes. I worked about 6 years in different agencies.
Wow, I
Yeah,
see.
before directing. Yeah. So in a way I was kind of it's not like you work at an agency and you learn anything about film. You learn story
Hmm.
because you write the scripts and you come up with the ideas, right? But you don't really
Yep,
necessarily ever pick up a camera or learn. So it
yep,
doesn't really translate, but I think the the surrounding yourself in a world where you're constantly coming up with ideas
yep,
and writing stories is very good for directing, right? Because once you come into directing, you don't
yep.
just want to
True
shoot
that.
visuals, you want to tell stories. And I think that's a very big difference that
Yep.
is definitely helpful having that background.
I see. I mean, I just realized that it's something like using a cheat codes in computer games. It just like helps you a lot. And
Yeah.
honestly talking, it's my first time seeing that mix because I mean like mix of two professions that like goes in a one flow. Usually, I've seen a mix something like a guy that used to be a director of photography, but then he went into directing. And these
Yeah.
two categories are kind of like help. And but being in an agency and then going to directing something is just something new. And I guess that's like logically, that's why looking at your work, I kind of see that now. I mean, like it's a great storytelling. And do you know what I realized about your work? That in In a time of a trend that comes into commercials, trends like
Yeah,
special effects, the glitches, this 8 millimeters, 8 millimeter film format. Um, you are staying on the side of the the cinema, I guess. I mean, like it's more about cinema and man that like the way how people playing in the shots. I mean, the
yeah.
actors and talents. It looks so natural. I mean, like you always believe the picture, and yeah, that's the thing. This is what I want to tell.
I I think that's a good conversation. I think there's a few reasons for that, and I think there's a few reasons why those trends catch up very quickly.
Yep,
And I think it's because we live in the Instagram generation,
yep,
where everyone is seeing everything every single day, and you
hmm,
see filmmakers that you admire and that you like, and you see their work, and you're like, oh, cool, like I want to do that. And I think that's the problem is when you're constantly absorbing other people's work,
yeah,
you subconsciously start not stealing, but you kind of borrow from that look,
yeah,
and then you might
yeah.
put it into your work. And a rule I have for myself is I don't ever approach a project visually first.
I see.
The visuals come much later. I start writing it and I start thinking about it
Hmm.
first. You put it in paper first, and that's the way you think of story first, right? You're
Yeah,
not gonna see someone's technique or like the way they move a camera, or oh, I'm gonna shoot something that looks pretty normal, but because it's 16 millimeter, it looks cool. And
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
tends
yeah.
to happen. You don't think about. Of course, I'm very visual in the way I think, but I write first, and I
I
think
see.
that helps keep something that feels more real and that isn't trying to imitate what is out there. Because it's very easy these days to just see
Yeah.
other people's work, put it in your treatment, and then you end up shooting exactly that. So I think it's a good exercise to um, try not to start visually, because visually you start sort of borrowing things,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and it's better to sort of try to bring your own personality, your own thing into it, and that
Mhm.
helps with
Um,
the what you're saying, which is nice to hear that you see some kind of sense of reality in
yeah,
some of the work. And I think that comes from my subtle personality. I think I'm
I
not
see.
on when I direct, I'm very subtle and quiet. I'm not like screaming telling people what to do. For me it's about creating a
Yeah,
mood on set. I play music, which apparently is not
I
something many
see.
people do, but I play music on every scene of everything I shoot. And it's something, sometimes it's about letting the
Wow.
scene kind of like the mood be created. And I'll talk to the actors for a few minutes, and it's just like
Hmm.
silently from afar, kind of letting the scene happen rather
Ah,
than being with the actor and saying, this is exactly what you're doing. I'd like to play a
yeah,
little bit of a, let's see how that feels real. You can't force it. Sometimes it takes long.
yeah,
Sometimes it might take, sometimes it happens on the first take and you got it. Sometimes it might take a lot of time until people start feeling the natural sort
yeah.
of reality of things. But yeah, it's an interesting balance you have to find.
So you want to tell me that you're usually creating the you creating the atmosphere first for your talents for the people who are on the set, especially the talents, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Like in my case, I always got a little bit like shy. I think in terms of like creating atmosphere, especially in commercial field, because the commercial field in Kazakhstan, it's pretty. I think it's pretty rough though, because we have this code going on that uh, you are not shooting film. You are shooting commercial, and
Yeah.
sometimes yeah, sometimes usually clients looking at you and they're telling you, listen, it's just a 2 second shot. Why you
Yeah.
treat this guy as a Brad Pitt?
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Hey, but that happens here too. That's not just there. That's, I think, everywhere. I
So I
struggle
mean,
with that
like,
on every shoot. Yeah.
I see, but
Yeah.
it's normal, right?
I think it's normal. I think you get very lucky when you work with a team of clients or agency that wants to just have fun and will let you do what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't happen all the time. It used to be the case for me in the beginning. I got lucky and I worked with like a year of agencies where they would let me do my thing. Like when I was in Kazakhstan shooting for GE, I mean, that was an amazing experience. And then I had a couple of years where every project you came into it, like you're saying, you're here to make a movie or a film. And then very quickly you get punched in the face. Like, no, this is not a movie. This is just a brand logo on some,
I see.
some people dancing somewhere. But it's just like, it's just some way to put a logo on something. And do commercials, no matter what, how much you think it's art, there's always going to be some force fighting you back.
Yep. But it's just like, you know, I'm really surprised by the fact again, I'm really surprised by the fact that you've been working as an art director in the agency. And I mean, like, did it really help for you to, I mean, like, I don't know, I think it's a bad word, but it's only one word that comes into my mind, is that did it help you to shoot really quick to get into the directing the commercials? I mean, did it help? All the connections, all the background that you had. Oh, I see.
I would say connections, 0. A little bit, but not much, because like I said, agencies, depending on how big you are as a creative, how many connections you had, I was still at the point where I was only doing a few commercials. I wasn't really friends with directors or production companies. It is helpful, I think, in selling ideas. And I think the directing to this point, you know that you go on set, but 98% of that work has been done before you show up on set, right? Like directing is preparation and setting the atmosphere, setting the scenes. And I think as an agency person, your whole career is selling ideas and putting presentations together, visuals, things that you have to sell your ideas to a bunch of people, right? So I think as a director, it's the same exact thing. You're not going to go shoot commercials until you can sell your ideas. You can create beautiful presentations and you can inspire people. And so my first big music video I did, which it wasn't big, but I got actual money for it, started from a little treatment I made, you know, like a really cool looking treatment. It was my first one. I'd never done one, but apparently I guess my agency experience helped me make it really nice. It looked really nice, right? According to the people I sent it to. And it was me as one person. Suddenly I had like 40 people on my shoot. And it all started from one visual document, right? So I think that's what I learned as a director is it's about inspiring people. And sometimes it all starts with one presentation, one treatment that can do so much to get collaborators to work with you. And later on I realized, okay, I can kind of reach higher and send these treatments to some of my favorite DPs. So even if I had no experience as a director, then I had really people that I thought were too far for me. Like, these DPs are amazing, they'll never respond, but they saw these documents and they said, man, this is cool, I want to be a part of this. So it's interesting how well put, you put a lot of work into those documents, those treatments, and things that are going to inspire others, and then suddenly you can reach out a lot further than just going on your own.
I see. We have actually one question from the viewers. She is she's asking us how to make a treatment without taking shots from the other people. I mean, like I don't know. I mean, like that's an interesting question, but I got my old answer for that one. but yeah, I don't want to answer. Just like waiting for. But
Yeah, well,
I think it's fine. It's normal.
yeah,
Yeah,
go
it's
for it. Yeah, I
just
think I agree.
the one thing that I'm really um the the one thing that I really want to ask you that what is your opinion on the process of writing treatments? I mean that separate page where you write some sort of a references, like how it's going to look like, and I mean
Yeah.
like you're supposed to show something, right? Like and um, I've been reading lots of treatments from my friends, and I realized that majority of the references pages is just commercials, like commercials that exist. So
Yeah.
let's make it easy. Some dude is writing Coca-Cola treatment,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
inside of his Coca-Cola treatment, you see that he's telling us that it's gonna look like Nike. you
Yeah. Yeah.
know, he's showing the video of Nike. So I mean, like, is it okay? What is your opinion for that one?
I think that's fine. I mean, there's no way around that, right? You have to show visuals.
Yeah.
You have to, people
Yep.
want to see more than read. No one, like the problem, if you just focus, even though I was saying that I write first and I focus on the writing,
Yeah.
no one's going to want to just read stuff. It has to be very visual. And where else are you going to find photos than just using references from other work
Exactly.
or movies or photographs? I partly, that's why I enjoy when I do a treatment that makes it really hard to find visuals, or
Yeah.
when your idea is not something you can just find on Vimeo or movies,
Yeah.
because that means you have something new and different.
Hmm.
So that's kind of I've learned, I've figured it out as a challenge when I have something that I'm working on and it's a treatment and I cannot find visuals and I end up doing Photoshop or
I
3D
see.
or something to show it.
Yep.
It's super cool because you're doing something that hasn't
Yeah.
been done before, and that's not usually the case, right? It's usually very easy to find a bunch of commercials and just do a treatment very fast. So
Yeah.
the harder it is, the better probably the work is going to be, the more unique. But yeah, as far as the question goes that she had, I think there's no way around that. You just have to use other people's work as reference. I think the
Yep.
mission is to not shoot those images, because that can be easy, right? Now you can sort of take those visuals and make your
Yep.
film, and it looks just like someone else's. You probably noticed this. I don't know if you see it, but I've seen shots on commercials that I've seen like 30 times now, right? Like you see it
Yeah. Yeah.
constantly, and it's probably the reason why is because it's been used on the treatments and then it becomes the film. So you got to kind of be
Yep.
careful about that.
Have you seen this very funny? I don't know how to call it. Is it a commercial or it's just a short tutorial on Vimeo? It's actually funny. Slogan teaches us how to make modern commercial.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. I mean, like, I'm gonna ask Ali to send it to you. I mean, like, the dude is just, he's straight up funny about, like, the trends that are
Yeah.
set in the commercials these days. Like, he said something like, you should put an old guy as a voiceover so he
Yeah,
can sound very serious and put an ambient music so it's gonna look cool. Use 8 millimeters film so it's gonna get it like filmic look. And yeah, it was funny. Anyway,
that's
I
pretty
got
funny.
your point. I got your point. I mean, we were gonna be a little bit off the topic. I mean, but it's so cool. I mean, you've been talking just for 30 minutes, I guess, and I have the list of the questions, and you just like covered most of them. Most of them. Yeah, I
Well,
thought that I was
send more questions.
okay. The one question I want to ask you is it's more dedicated to like agencies. Um,
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give for newbies that never ever worked with big agencies? I mean, like, do you have any tips for that one?
So say you're directing something, but you don't have experience with big agencies or just working with bigger
Yeah,
clients. That's the question. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
Um,
question.
I don't look, man. It's every client is different, so I don't think you should ever go at it the same way. I've
Yeah.
I've worked with some small clients and small agencies that were very difficult and treated me poorly. And I worked with some of the best brands in the world that were extremely easy and fun to work with, right? So, like, I'll give you an example. I shot with Apple recently. I've done a couple of projects with Apple.
Yeah,
Those guys are so easy and fun to work with. And you would
I
expect that
see.
Apple are very difficult. Why are they so good and why are they making amazing work? It's because they are so collaborative and fun, and there's no fights. They're just making
I
cool
see.
work, and that is exactly why you see such good work. I've done work with smaller clients that I thought were going to be easy, and then they made it really hard on me, right? So it's I think
I see.
my general, I don't think there's like specifics that I would say. It's just uh, treat everyone kindly. be a
Yeah,
be part of the team. Be collaborative. Like I think we don't live in a world anymore where directors come in and are the kings as they used to be on set.
yeah,
I'm sure there's still people that work that way. I feel I'm from a new generation where I come with a lot of respect for the client, and I
yeah.
never try to separate them as a separate person. We're all doing the same project. I'm here to help you. So that's my mentality, and I think that's worked for me. Um, Sometimes you have to be strong because they will fight you back, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm learning is never let them take over, because that can affect the project. There's a reason why you're hired as a director, and if they don't respect your decisions, then that's going to be a problem, and you have to fight back, right? You have to push
Yeah.
to make good work. But if you approach every project with the same mentality of we're all part of the same team, and I'm here to
Yeah.
help them, it's going to help you a lot.
I see.
I don't know what else I can share in terms of working with clients. I would just say is never be afraid. They're just people, you know.
Yeah.
Like I get really sometimes I get nervous on client calls because you go on a call and there's 10 people there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you realize that they might be even more nervous than you, right? Like
Ah, wow. I never
because
thought about it.
this is the good thing about I was a creator for 6-7 years. And I would go on calls with directors, and I was always super nervous as a creative because I wanna appear smart and cool with the director.
Yeah.
And so I think part of the tension is that both sides are trying to kind of impress each other.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to stand on their side and understand, just kind of understand that they're just like you, right? They're just
Yeah.
people trying to make it work, but sometimes they might be a little nervous, and it's up to you to sort of kind of break that and just be
Yeah.
honest and be down to earth, and then you can help make it easier.
I see. Wow, that was pretty helpful, though. That was pretty helpful. I'm gonna write it down. Thank you. Um, okay. So please tell me, how do you find space for creative growth between so much work, or
Yeah.
even maybe some, I mean, like life situations? I mean,
Yeah.
like, I just realized that, I mean, like, I'm a single man. Sometimes I'm proud of it, but when I look at at my colleagues, they got like families, they got kids, and they're working in the field as a directors. I'm so surprised. Family can take so much of your powers, and it can take so much of your time. So like, in the end of the day, you might be juiced out. Nothing to write about. And do you have this kind of a situations? And if you got it, how you deal with them? How you allow yourself to grow?
That's always a good question because it's not easy. It's very easy to focus yourself on what you're doing right now, like your current work, and put all priority in that and almost forget that you also have to be moving on two sides. I think for directors, at least, we're on the commercial world, but you don't want to be doing commercials, right? Like that's just, of course, it's cool doing commercials, but that's not your dream is not to be a commercial director. You want to be making movies, TV shows. So you constantly have to be building that side. You cannot just live in the commercial thing, because at some point you can do commercials for 10 years and then people will forget about you.
Yeah, true.
Once you're old and no longer relevant. So you have to pursue the movie side or the story side. So yeah, I think, but it's not easy because like, if I think about the amount of free time I've had that I didn't put into creating my personal work and my stuff, it's a lot. Because I don't know why it's so hard. It's so hard to find that moment. But I try to constantly. I don't have a solution for it, but I try to constantly, every day, just spend a little bit of time doing something that's for me, that's not for work. And it looks different, like during COVID right now, I wrote my first full script, which I'd never done. And it was hard, right? Because I'd never done it, but I was like, I have to push myself to get this done. And even if I'm not a great writer, I finished my first script, right? That was cool. That was great. And I'm constantly finding things to teach myself. I want to make very good VFX work. So I taught myself 3D at the beginning of this year. Or 3D animation, right? Like
I've seen some posts. I see some posts.
Yeah. So it's the kind of stuff where if you want to be good at something, you have to figure it out yourself. I think I'm kind of that way. I don't just like to reach out to people and have it done for me. I want to understand it very well, and that way I think I can make it better. But yeah, I'm going back to the question of how do you find that personal growth. It's just try to dedicate a little bit of time every week or every day into something that is fully yours, right? Like that it's not guided by work and it doesn't have to be just film. I think, I find a lot of inspiration by just playing music. And sitting there almost 30 minutes a day, I just play music. And music, during that time, it inspires things that might not come around if I'm sitting in front of the computer. So I think it's good to find the balance and find other things that get you excited and inspired, because that comes back into your life as an inspiration to help you write or come up with new ideas or different things.
That's the good one. Man, I want to I want to continue all the thoughts, but I'm so afraid about time, man.
There's no don't worry, man. Let's go for it. No limit.
It's just about the music thing. The thing that you told me that you're playing music instruments, and it's just so interesting how it's all connected. The feelings that music can give to you. It can wake certain feelings inside of you, and I think it's some sort of magic, though. It's a modern magic, and I've seen a couple of posts that you made on Instagram when you've been playing on piano, and it was an improvisation. It's not you just played it
it's my
what was on your mind, right?
I had this thing going on where that's what I was saying, where I play 30 minutes every day. I don't usually post all of it, but I always record it. And my mission is just to find something new, to improvise daily and just record it and then forget about it. Putting it on Instagram is a nice way to go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. It's just like almost like therapy. You come up with something new, just put it out there and then release it and then forget about it. That's fun for me. It never, I don't, if you ask me to play a song on piano, I can't play a single song. It'll just happen.
Same here.
It's improvised. It just comes naturally, and then I forget. But then you over time you start remembering all these things.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I learned music kind of on my own, like just from ear, not from classes.
Wow.
So I'm not good at. I can't read anything, but I can play it. So it's a weird.
Here.
It's a weird thing. Yeah. What do you play?
I'm playing piano. I finished five classes, 5 years of musical school, but I didn't go to school. We had a private teacher that been like showing us how to play. But the really weird part is that I mean, like, I'm 29 and like I finished those 5 years when I was 15, and right now I don't remember. Like, I don't know how to read notes.
Yeah.
I don't know the theory. I just play the way I hear, and I just realized that it's just so nice to know that we have something common, because definitely it's some sort of a how you said that. It's like a meditation. It's like you're reflecting everything that you got inside. And the really funny part is that, I mean, like, you're uploading all of this stuff to Instagram, and it usually takes you in about 1 minute. And I'm pretty sure that majority of your friends have been asking, what about full version? We need full version. When you're going to upload it to Spotify, man, you need to do that.
I do that all the time. People write and say, "Can I use this on my song, on my video?" And I'm like, "Well, if you can use it for my Instagram, because it doesn't exist as a recording. It's just a little piece I made today, and it's over. And I moved on." Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Listen, I have a very. I think it's a very, very good answer, though. Yesterday, I met one person, and she just reminded me about, like, myself 5 years ago. And at that time, I just came from Singapore to Kazakhstan to stay here, and I was looking for a job. And I had this camera with me, and I was hired to shoot an event with my little camera, and I went for it. And I was shooting the lady. She was singing some songs, and it was just so cool for me at the time. Why? Because I got paid. It was my first money. To be sure, it was around $10. But I was so happy for those $10. So I called to my dad, and I told him, "Look, I'm a man. Like, I'm a big man right now. I'm holding $10 with me." I mean, and it was so nice. And I mean, like, I met this person yesterday, and I told her this story, and she was like, "Wow." And my following question is, how did you get your first paid job as a director?
Your story is fun, man, because I did stuff for free for like 3 years.
I see.
And it wasn't like even commercial work. It was like people asking for favors. Like a coworker was doing she had a comedy group of comedians. This is the kind of stuff that would come to me. It was so random, but she's like, "Hey, do you want to do a video of all my comedy friends. And I was like, I don't know what
Okay.
that is, but sure. And then I was standing in Times Square, New York City, filming all these comedians, directing them. And they had no idea what they were doing. I was like, they asked me to just shoot you guys doing funny stuff in New York. Yeah, I made a video out of it for free. It was silly, but I was doing that all the time. Whatever opportunity that someone was giving me, I was taking the camera out there, I was shooting it. I wasn't showing the world, but I was just doing it.
I see.
People over time, even family, my brother, who I will always call for advice, he was always like, "You're very talented with cameras. Why do you not charge people? Why are you doing this for free?" He's like, "Why are you wasting all this time?" And I said, "Man, like, I don't want to charge because I just do it for fun. I know at some point I will charge, but I didn't see it as like I think you have to see it as a passion, and not as a job or not as a way to make money. You will make money eventually, but I think." Sorry, I just got a text message and it distracted me. I just put it out of the way. Yeah,
That's all right.
I think the fact that I was doing all that free work for many years made me such a much better filmmaker, because you learn by mistakes. You learn by going out there and doing a bunch of stuff and editing at home. Like, you learn everything, every aspect of it. So even before I got my first directing job, I had shot a lot of little things that no one ever saw, right? And I think that it's not gonna come to you. I think I'm forgetting where it is, but there's a passage from the Bible about the talents. You're given talent, and you can choose what you do with it. You can either hide it, or you can bury it and save it, because in the future you might use it, or you can go out there and multiply it, right? So I think if you have the talent,
so you did the last one,
and you do the one where you multiply it, right? You share it with the world. You take it out there, you put it to work, and that's honestly, you start seeing your work grow, and also you start seeing opportunities where then you have maybe $1,000 come to you to make a music video. That's kind of how it started, right? Like, here's $1,000 for a music video. Right now, I think of that it's nothing, right? But when I started, I was like, whoa, $1,000! Like, whoa, I can do so much with $1,000, right? And over time, like, then the next opportunity is $100,000, and then you're multiplying that. You're seeing the work and the money multiply, but it's the same theory, right? You're still approaching it the same way, and it's exactly the same kind of work. But yeah, I think there's benefits in never having an ego about this. If you want to go far, if you want to do good work, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of free work, a lot of sacrifice. And it's not going to come from one day to the next.
I mean, if I'm not wrong, there's a quote on that one. In order to get something, you need to give a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds something like this. I mean, like, you agree with that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I mean, like, me too. So it's been, I guess, like, can you count? I mean, how many years it took for you to be on that stage where you're at right now?
I don't know, man. I didn't go to film school. I never wanted to be a director, so I went to school for business, not even anything creative.
I see.
And somehow ended up at an agency as an art director, working at a creative agency. But I'll say, like, going back in time, I was shooting stuff with cameras since I was 10 years old.
Wow.
With my cousins and my brother, we were making little movies. We just picked up our parents' cameras and would make films, right? Like, not like studied films, not like we try to make something smart. We were just like making Saving Private Ryan recreations
Yeah,
in our gardens, like little things that taking movies and making our
imitating
silly
kidneys with the
versions.
sausages.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really funny. Like we were making these little movies because I think we watched some of them. We found this old cassette tape, and I was like, wow, that was like we were like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I never pursued anything. I never thought like that could be a career. That was made for fun. And from there, I started. I was making skate videos and I was making music videos for my band because I was playing in a punk band when I was like 14 years old. Not music videos. We
Wow.
were just shooting us playing. Like I think the deal with playing with cameras I had since I was a kid. But then once I started going to work,
Mhm.
I just forgot about cameras until
Yeah.
I picked up a DSLR and it had video in it, and that was like a revolution for me because I was like, wow, like
Yeah.
this looks so beautiful, and it's in a little camera. I didn't know you could do video this nice with
Yeah.
cameras. So I think that it all started with just taking out a DSLR once again. But
I
I
see.
was already, I was like 4 or 5 years into having a career in advertising when I started picking up cameras and started shooting.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
it went down really fast. So like how many
Cool.
years went by? I would say just so many years as a kid, like playing with cameras. But you mentioned my honeymoon video, right? That's where it all
Yeah.
started. It was just taking a
Wow.
camera and shooting our honeymoon as we were traveling, putting it
Yeah.
online, and then that opportunity just opened up 100 others.
I
So
see.
from that opportunity to directing, it was probably about 2 years from that video to my
Mhm.
first commercial.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's something like that. But I would say like it
It's
was
more than that.
more than time. It was this
Yeah.
habit of taking a camera out almost every week and shooting something. Not
I
necessarily a
see.
short film, just like I was living in New York City, right? So you go out, you take your camera, and you make a film about whatever, Times Square,
Yeah.
or a film, or take a friend and just shoot them around the trains and the
Yeah.
streets. Like that was it. There was no mission. It was just doing it for fun,
Yeah.
and slowly you start seeing that become something bigger.
Wow. Well, I think that next question is kind of like connecting to all the words that you just said. I mean, like you've been talking about your path, the way
Yeah,
how you, the way how you right now, and I think it's not a stupid question. There's a guy, Javdet, he wrote, "Sorry for a stupid question, but what can you advise for those people who just started directing or has just a little experience in it?"
yeah.
I mean, like you already said a lot of stuff, but I think that repetition is never being bad. So
Yeah, no, I think I it's just that we can do a 2 hour response for that question, right? Because there's a lot to
yeah,
talk about here.
yeah,
I'll say, I guess my biggest advice is um, make work that is fully yours. Make work that is personal, that comes from you, that comes from the heart, that has a message and a story to tell. I'm not going to talk to you much about gear or cameras because I think that's irrelevant for me. I think even if you don't have the coolest camera or the money to rent an Alexa or whatever, all that stuff is not necessary. I think if the most important thing is always going to be story and what you have to say. So
yeah,
whether it's a commercial or a personal film, do your thing. I mentioned this before. Don't imitate. Don't follow trends. If people are shooting 35 millimeter film, don't do it just because it's cool to shoot on film. There should be a reason for it. There should be a purpose why you're shooting on
yeah,
film. the best people do it for a reason. It's not just because it's a style, right? So that's all I'm trying to say is like do work that has a purpose, and it's not just for style or for visual eye candy or to make something cool. The reason for that is because when you tell a story or when you do some work that will make the audience feel something, that will connect with them, I think that always goes way further and becomes much more important as a piece of work than work that just looks cool and that is visual and interesting. So that's, at least on my experience, how do you go from like having no experience to doing big commercials is doing work that at least I thought was work that was personal and had a message and would make you feel something. I think that's so valuable. And there's so much work out there. You know, there's so many directors, so many filmmakers. Just go on Vimeo, right? There's millions right now. How do you stand out from the rest is by doing work that has something to say. Because everyone can pick up a camera and shoot something beautiful these days, right? It's no longer that expensive. It's all about, you know, it's about ideas, right? It's about having something to say and something new, something to make you think, and something that is fully yourself. I think that's so valuable. Also, like, it's cool that look on Vimeo, it's people from all around the world. I think it's nice to see. Some people might say, I think of this because I was born in Guatemala, and I know a lot of friends and filmmakers in Guatemala that say, there's nothing cool here. Like, I want to be out there in Los Angeles making films, and I'm like, man, there's so much cooler things around the corner of where you live in Guatemala than here in Los Angeles. Like, use what you have around you, and show it to the world, because there's so much beauty, and there's something about seeing cultures and seeing something that is unique than trying to recreate the cool work that people are doing somewhere else. I think showing what's yours is very important. And we'll go, you know, eventually we'll make you as a filmmaker more relevant, and we'll make you stand out than trying to match what has been done before.
Talking about the fact that you don't have an education in film industry. I mean, like, you didn't finish any university that based on like film. I have a question from Kurmangaliev. The question is, does education in film academy play an important role in career in film industry?
Does education in film academy?
I mean, like, is it? I guess it's more about like, do you need a film school to be?
I couldn't tell you because I didn't go to film school, so I don't have an answer. I'm sure it helps. Yeah. I don't know, man, because I didn't go to film school, so I can't tell you from my experience what it does to you. I think it always goes back to, because I know students that have gone to film school and still haven't made any work, even if they went 2-3 years to a film school. I think it still applies to the same rules of like, what kind of films are you doing? What kind of work are you doing that's going to stand out? I'm sure being in film school helps you a lot in terms of the theory and the knowledge and crew. But I think from most of my friends that went to film school, mostly what I think it did is it helped them make connections with other filmmakers that most of them are still working together these days. So I think in terms of connections, it's very valuable. For everything else, I can't tell you, but I think everyone has different paths and different ways in. But a lot of the filmmakers that I follow and I'm friends with these days, a large majority didn't necessarily go to film school. Oh yeah, we're talking about film schools. Yeah, I mean, I guess I gave my answer. I think if you have the opportunity, you should go for it. You'll probably learn so much. I wish I went to film school. I didn't. I went to school for business, so very different thing.
apart from the questions, they like we got a lot of people asking you to suggest any additional materials, books, movies, resources for the level up.
I'm terrible at that. um, Man, I'd say Vimeo. I won't say
Yep,
like right now, but Vimeo was my film school, I think, for me.
I see.
It was going on, it was getting obsessed in finding people to follow on Vimeo. That was my thing. Like daily, was just looking at cool work and seeing who was doing good stuff. It's no longer like this. I feel Vimeo has changed, but when I was starting maybe 7 years ago, I'm sure you felt the same way.
Yep,
Vimeo felt like a
yep,
place where you could go on the comments and learn about the process
yeah,
and learn about, so because you could see the questions and people were answering about how they shot a film. Like, of course,
yeah.
the annoying usual question of the camera and lenses and all that stuff that people will ask for. But I was definitely
Yeah,
learning by just kind of seeing work and reading about it. We just mentioned I didn't go to film school, so I don't have that knowledge of like what were the most amazing directors or films that you have to watch.
yeah.
Like film school will tell you to watch Citizen Kane and all these cool movies.
Yeah.
I have not seen most of those, but definitely the way I see it is like I'm not making movies right now, so I'm not gonna learn how to make a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to absorb. You can learn from it by watching movies constantly, but if it depends on where you are in your career. Right now, I'm in the commercial. I'm in the short form. I'm in the short film kind of world right now. So that's what I was absorbing 5 years ago is just seeing people not like, I think it's a mistake for people to say, go watch Martin Scorsese. Yeah, you should watch it, but don't study it just yet, right? Like study people that are at your level or higher
Mhm.
or a little bit or much higher, but like that you can at least like, it's like a mountain, right? You have to be looking at who's just above you
Yeah,
and see how they're getting up there so you can get up yourself, right? You don't have to look at the
I
top of
see.
the mountain because you're not going to become Quentin Tarantino in your first movie, right? Like you have to have a process to follow. And I think it's important to always look around you and just see what people are doing to get there. So more than reading books, I
Yeah,
think for me, I'm sharing from my experience, it was just absorbing the work that other people were doing and just learning from them, and also having the confidence to know that if they can do it, you can do it. I'll throw a metaphor. It's like skateboarding. Uh, if you skateboard on your own, maybe you'll never jump on a rail. But if you see
I see.
your little friend jumping the 10 stairs and then going down a rail, you'll say, well, there's so seeing others and being a part of
That's a
like a
nice one.
community and just than being on your own, because I do hear about people that want to make a movie and they haven't even done a short film or they haven't even shot a wedding video. Like,
Yeah.
go do stuff that is at your level and that is approachable, and that's what's gonna slowly help you rise to the ranks or get higher work. But what else, man? As
Yeah.
far as books, I don't know. There's so many film books. I do get. Maybe I'll show you. Um, I'm
Yep.
terrible with reading. I'm not the best reader, but these kinds of books. I'll bring it to my table here. Like the art books, like the art of. There's so many. This kind of thing. The art of Ghost in the Shell,
Wow,
or like.
it's the Ghost in the Shell. I see.
Yeah, so like these are so cool because they're just like visuals, concept
Yep.
art. You learn about the process that goes into creating the worlds and the color and all that. I love that stuff
Yep.
because I'm more visual. I try to read a book. I try to read this one, something like this. on how they made Space Odyssey.
Oh, is this? I see.
There's benefit. I mean, there's stuff like this that you can read. I'm terrible. Like I'm not a big reader, so I'll probably read like 50
I see.
pages and then I want to see some images. But yeah, there's so much out
Yeah.
there. I can't give you specifics, but just look around for things that can inspire you. So I have
Yeah.
now like 10
I
of
mean,
these,
like,
and I've read all of them, and it's super fun. Like it's just such a cool way to learn from the filmmakers, and it's not hard to read. You can see this in like an hour or 2 hours.
cool. Um, Sometimes I think it's not only about the books or um, movies or other
Yeah.
resources. I mean, like something that you can, I mean, like touch, or you can like watch a movie. Sometimes I think it's about just simply going outside.
Yeah.
I think it can work as well. I mean, and I mean, like the way how you can see this world,
Yeah.
this thing as well. Um,
Yeah, I totally agree.
how?
I
Yeah,
agree with you in the sense that I personally think I learn more by doing it than by reading
yeah,
about it. Like I was talking about taking your camera and shooting whatever, wherever you are, like creating little films, even if no one will see it, but just constantly.
yeah,
It's like uh, it's like exercise, right? Like it's not gonna happen
yeah.
from one day to the next. It's gonna
True,
take
true.
years of you going out there and doing something. And even to this day, almost daily, I grab my camera and I shoot something. Like when the light is nice in the house, I'll shoot something.
Hmm.
It goes nowhere. It just stays in my hard drives or my computer. But it's a constant exploration of the craft and learning, because no matter how far you can get in the career, like there's something about just grabbing a camera and seeing the world through it that is constantly teaching you new things or new ways of
Yeah.
seeing the world.
How do you stay original even though you're inspired by something that you've seen already or something that it's already existed?
How do you stay original?
Mm, I mean, like original in a way.
Yeah,
I think it's authentic, I guess.
yeah. I think um, that's kind of a hard one, but I think at least for me,
That's a
it's about
question from
finding.
our viewers, though.
Yeah, it's a viewer question. Yeah, original. I mean, I think it's like you mentioned. It's about going out there in the world and absorbing
Yeah,
what's around you, constantly finding new things that you get inspired by.
yeah,
Uh, I
I
think
agree.
for me, inspiration will come from the outside world more than uh, being somewhere inside and constantly looking at the same things. Like it's just kind of exposing yourself to something new. I think travel is so important.
Yeah,
Getting out there and seeing new things, um, and just kind of getting obsessed about things, about new things constantly.
yeah.
Like I'll give you an example. Like a year ago, I got really into skateboarding again because I used to skate as a
Ah,
kid, and skateboarding
I
became my
see.
kind of like new obsession for a year, and then I got hurt skating on the street, so I'm not doing it anymore. But I think there's something cool about always finding something that excites you outside of film, and you
Yeah.
start seeing how that influences your work. Um, so skateboarding is a terrible example, but I think there's so it's fun. It's fun to find something that will get you obsessed,
Yeah, I
because
agree with that.
it starts helping you like forget about film, and that way you get excited about something new, and that will translate and sort of come back into your film work.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Um, um, what is the biggest lesson that, what is the biggest, I mean, like, I'm reading someone's question right now. What is the biggest lesson filmmaking or cinematography has taught you about life?
The biggest lesson filmmaking has taught me about life. Um, I'll get very, I guess, philosophical about this one.
Yeah.
I guess the simplest thing I can say is the fact that as humans, we admire the world, the creation that's around us. And there's something about putting something in a frame, about
Yeah.
the world. I realized is sort of need to kind of like I'm trying to think about this one, but there's something beautiful about capturing a moment in time
Yeah.
that I realized as a filmmaker is it's sort of like I'm just kind of admiring what's out there that I have not created. Sometimes someone can see, man, you make such beautiful images. And I'm like, well, I didn't make any of this. I just framed it with a camera and captured it because it's a way of admiring the work of a creator that is not mine. And I think for me, filmmaking is that's kind of what it is. It's a way of acknowledging how small we are and the beautiful things around us, whether it
is.
happening outside, but I've learned like filmmaking, why are we glued to TV screens? Why are we?
It was lagging. It was lagging a little bit, but it was not that scary though. I mean, I got your point. I mean, like, I think it's a pretty solid answer for the question. You just reminded me about the Chekhov's brothers.
Which one?
Those Chekhov's brothers. There are two brothers in Russian poetry history. The first one, he was the elder one who got really famous for his books, for his short stories. And the second one was a little bit younger, and he was always hiding in the shadow of his older brother. And and he was pretty sad about that all the time. And one time he wrote a letter to him, and he wrote something like, "I want to be a very huge person, a very big person, but I can't because you're already a big one, and the surname that you got. I mean, like it kind of bothers me. I feel how he said it. He said something like." Hold on. I need to translate it. I need a Google translator for that one.
Yeah.
Wait.
So you said these are two Russian writers?
Yeah, and he wrote something like that. He feel insignificant. Am I right? Is it kind of a word?
Yeah.
Insignificant. Comparing to you because you did so much. And then he wrote it back saying that you can't feel yourself insignificant towards a human being. The only one thing that you can be insignificant is towards the nature, because it's beautiful. I mean, like it's huge, it's big. I mean, like, we are human beings. We are so small in this world. We're just like a sand, a small piece of sand, and But the world around us is hella beautiful, though.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's exactly, I guess, kind of what I was trying to say. So I think that's a really good parallel. Is that we are, I guess, as filmmakers, for me, it's about capturing the beauty of the world and the honesty of it, and not trying to fake it or trying to force it. And I think that translates universally. If you can capture a human emotion
Yeah.
in a authentic way, it's gonna touch a lot of people. It's gonna go much further than trying to force and create your own. I mean, it doesn't mean that's wrong, right? There's people
Yeah.
that make their own worlds and it's beautiful, but I think the most transcending, the most important ones is the stuff that is really capturing
Yeah.
humanity or
True.
nature or the beauty of things, and it, it's what reaches everyone and what touches everyone, and it connects no matter where you are.
Yeah. Oh my. Wow. It's good. Really good though. It's just so weird. We're kind of out of. Oh no. We got a couple of questions though.
Yeah.
I think it's the very important one. So, how has the COVID changed your way of working?
Um, COVID, man. Um, it doesn't. It's weird, man. I am in nature. I'm kind of a hermit.
Yeah,
I'm the kind of person that doesn't mind being locked in,
I
working,
see.
or creating, because that's kind of my nature. It drives some people crazy. I'm lucky that my wife has the same personality, because otherwise that would be a problem. But she can also be the kind of person that
I
will
see.
enjoy being at home and sharing time together here, and we don't necessarily have to be surrounded by people.
Yeah,
Maybe that's a problem, but there's something. It didn't affect me so much in the sense of like disrupting the way I work. That felt like it's the same, right? I still work from home. My wife works with me for now a year and a half. She's been
yeah.
working with me together, so it didn't change our life. Like it felt
I
like we were
see.
still at home doing our work. I think it changed. It affected me more than anything, just emotionally, in the sense
Hmm.
that I felt I like to be home, but then I have this extreme need to go out there and get lost, like go out and
Yeah,
explore and see the world. Like we were talking about inspiration. There's not much inspiration you can find sitting around the home. You
yeah.
have to get out there and meet people and see things to let that come back into your work. And that was the problem is I don't mind being locked in, but I want to have the freedom to move around
I
and
see.
see things. And that's been a problem mostly in Los Angeles because it's been extreme with the lockdowns. Like
I see.
a couple of weeks, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I wanted to just go out to get some food at night. There's nowhere to go. Like
Yeah.
it's all closed. Like it's a little out
Wow.
of control. So that's been uh, kind of more than anything what's been the problem. But otherwise, in terms of affecting my work, not much. It was actually, even it was hard, the fact that we didn't get to see friends or family. It was a very productive time.
Uh,
Like like we don't usually get this opportunity of just being home, right? And
yeah.
so I took the time to write scripts, to um, I talked to you about learning 3D.
Yeah.
I want to be up to date with the technology, so I learned 3D, how to create 3D worlds, because I know that's the new technology that's coming. We're going to be shooting
Hmm.
on LED screens with
Yeah.
full CG worlds. And I can't say much about it, but I did get to shoot in one of those stages with full
Wow.
CG worlds, and it was just because I learned how to do 3D on my own. So yeah,
I
COVID has
see.
been definitely a hard season, but I think you take the positives out of it, and
Yeah.
you get as much as you can from this opportunity to kind of focus on ourselves for once.
I've been talking about this before we went into the IG stream with you. I've been telling to people that the beauty of a human being is that like human being can adapt, like you got no choice.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe that's the way how we survive. I mean, like surviving these days. Um, the I remember that someone just asked you a question here, and it was a pretty good one. How can we, as creatives, sustain ourselves, our lives, while still making our own art? The money equation plays a big part in it, right? With a question mark in the end.
How do we sustain ourselves? Um, you just have to suck it up and do work. I mean, you can't. That's a question that comes up on every commercial I do.
Yeah.
I used to be very much like, I won't take work unless I believe in it. I
Yeah.
won't do a project unless I'm 100% into it, and I can be artful and creative with it. But there's going to be a time where you just have to take work, even if you don't necessarily think it's the greatest thing in the world, or you just have to work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's also nice to understand that what we do, like, I'm talking about strictly commercials, right? I'm not talking about movies, but
Hmm.
to understand that it's a job. In the
Yeah.
end, it's still work, and you're still putting a brand logo at the end of it that's selling a shoe or water or who knows what you're selling. But you can't let that distract you emotionally from the fact that you're constantly creating art, but you're always going to be in this push, in this battle, uh, with the reality that it's not necessarily art.
Yeah.
Uh, but you try. I think that's the director's battle, is you try. If there's a line here and this is art and this is commercials, you try to get as much art in there
Yeah.
until you start losing that battle. But you have to fight as hard as you can. Um,
Yeah.
and and yeah, I mean, I think I'll say I'm lucky that I don't have to do a lot of work where I don't believe in it. I do try to keep it to work that I can fully bring myself
Yeah.
into the work. Because that way I can do better. I can do a better job if I believe in it, if I care for it.
I see.
I'd never want to go and direct something that's completely out of like uh, who I am. You know, I want to make something that feels personal, and that's, you'll struggle with that, right? Because you're going to try to do
Yeah.
as good a job as you can to make it yours, and make sure that you come out with something that you can put and share with the world. But it doesn't always happen. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
understanding the reality of that. And not making a big emotional deal out of it, because you're going to face a lot of problems in doing work that isn't necessarily creative.
Yeah. I think that in that case, the next question is about director's cuts. I mean,
Yeah.
like those ones always got into my mind. I mean, the Kazakhstan market is different from the worldwide market. I mean, like we got our own rules and like
Yeah.
the mentality and psychology of the consumers, and mostly what I shoot doesn't make me feel good because like I'm not totally satisfied with that one. And I just came up with the idea that I always have to make the director cut.
Yeah.
But it's been almost like 2 years. I mean, so far I got like a couple of works that I kind of like, but majority of them always written as a director's cut of the certain product. And it just got me feel a little bit weird because I mean, like, when you're sending your portfolio to the agencies, I mean, like, so far I never did that. I mean, like, if we're talking sending your portfolio outside of the country, but I'm planning to do that. But the one thing that really bothers me is that majority of my works, I mean, I think it's like 80% percentage of my works are director cuts.
Yeah.
And it just bothers me a lot. I mean, like, wow, maybe just I always think and put myself to a point of the people that are gonna hire me, and I'm afraid they're gonna say like, wow, this guy is full of director cuts. Like, we want to see the client version. I want to know your opinion on that one.
I don't think anyone wants to see the client version.
I see.
Look, it's the same way for me. Everything that's on my website, 80% is
Yeah.
director's cuts.
I see.
And it's the nature of the work these days. There's no problem with that, because the problem with the way commercials work is you go out there and you do your vision, and then it's like you hand all that stuff in a hard drive to people that have a different vision or different style, different taste, and it's gonna happen, right? It's just it's hard because it happens to me all the time. Like I shot something that I thought was so beautiful, and then I see the final edit, and it's just like, oh man, it sometimes can be a little depressing.
Yeah.
But it's just the nature of the work. And that's where I was talking about the realities of what we do. Like in the end, it's not a piece of art. They're just trying to hit a bunch of check boxes to sell a product. It's just the reality of it. And you have to anticipate that it's going to be a director's cut in the end. I think, of course, having a final client product that matches what you envision, that's the dream. Yeah. I wish it happened more often. I think I get it maybe once or twice a year where I'm like, wow, that was amazing, right? But it's not always going to happen. I think it also comes from the trust of the people hiring you. If they truly believe in you, they're going to let you lead that process until the end. But I think these days, for me, I think the part of the problem is the timelines. It's too fast. Sometimes I'm shooting stuff, and by the time I've shot it, there's an editor already cutting it, and I'm not even seeing what's going on because I'm shooting. And then at that point, it's just different people cutting different things that don't match your vision, and that's just what's going to happen. So yeah, don't worry about having all director's cuts. Like, in the end, I think the people seeing your work should care about what your vision is and not necessarily somebody else's. So it's fine. But yeah, it's definitely a hassle, man. Like, I haven't done a couple director's cuts with work that I really care for because it gets tiring. It's too much work. Yeah. It definitely takes months of your time to try to get it back to where you want it. Yeah. But yeah, that's always a fun part of the process.
Yeah, true that. It's just so weird that I think that you have these cases as well, is that it's when everyone is waiting for your director's cut. Like they know that you're gonna do it for sure.
Yeah. Hey, but I'll give everyone some advice. Like, look up some of your favorite filmmakers. And sometimes you can find the client versions of some of your favorite commercials that you can see on Vimeo. And once you see that client version, you'll just laugh. It's not just like people in the beginner level or like starting out. It happens to everyone all the way to the top. And I've seen some of my favorite directors, and I run into a client version on Vimeo, and I'm just like, it kind of makes me feel better. To realize, like, it happens to everyone. It's not, so it's a funny part of the process. The other thing I wanted to say, like, it's important to understand, this comes from my agency experience. Yeah. The agency writes a script, and then a director will take that script and make it 10 times bigger, right? They'll dream that this is something much bigger. The problem is when the agency sometimes edits, they'll send the same script that they wrote, not the director's treatment or director's script. So the editor is working off something old and going and creating exactly what they wanted. And that's a problem because it doesn't necessarily match what you went out there and you shot. So you end up having a lot of extra material that never makes the client version. Yeah. So I think that can happen. I've come to understand that it's really based on the creative power of the agency, how bold and how strong they are to push for your vision, and to understand that this is a collaboration and you've made something new. When you come back from a shoot, everything has changed. It's not what was on the paper when they started, but if they send the same script, because I've seen editors with the very first agency script, and that's going to change, right? That's going to become something else. So when that happens, that's an unfortunate situation.
I see. Yeah, that's for sure. we got another question here from the Alex Kicker 12. He's asking you about how important is a spec work when beginning in the commercial world?
I'll say this: I do not support spec work at all. I think it's like cheating.
I see.
And sorry to say this because I might offend people, but I think like when people go out there and put a Nike logo on their sports footage, they cheated. It's not how it works. Like, you cannot go and pretend to make an ad for a brand because to even get to do a Nike project is a kind of a miracle to be considered. You know, like it takes a lot of time to even get to that point. So I think that's why I say it's like cheating, because it's too easy. Getting to one of those projects is a fight just to get it made, and the amount of work you have to pitch, the amount of times you have to do treatments that you lose. There's a process to get to that kind of work. And I think if you're gonna make spec work, make it real. Don't put a brand that's not even connected to the work. Go find like a sports store around the corner. Go find a coffee shop, or do something that you can actually put out and is real. Or don't even make it a spec ad, just make it a short film. Like, you know, if we want to shoot a car film, write a cool car film that's 2 minutes and it has a story and it looks like a commercial and it shows your style, your ability. But don't go and put a brand logo at the end because it wasn't real. So that's just my perspective. Is when I see spec work, I kind of like get annoyed with it because it doesn't have any of the difficulty of getting it made. It's difficult to make commercials. There's 20, 30 people looking at your work, right? Fighting you on every decision. So if it's just you on your own making a spec Nike ad, you're kind of skipping all those steps. So I just make your own, find your own brand, or make friends with someone that has like I was saying, like a sports store somewhere, and that's gonna be real and probably better. It's gonna just feel more authentic.
If I think that I'm going to be wrong on that one. Before starting the IG stream with you, me and my colleague, me and Ali, we've been watching your work, and we've been watching the Sandman. And how to say that? We've been kind of curious about it because Sandman is just got, apart from the huge, the good story and the vibe, it had a little bit of, how to say that sport thingy going on. Nike or Reebok. We felt it a little bit, but we felt it because we know your work for Reebok. And that's why we felt this way. And can you tell us? Did you get did you get a Reebok because you shot the Sandman?
No.
Or it was no.
I think I got Reebok because of GE.
Ah, I see.
And I got GE because of Sandman, which is
interesting. I see. Wow.
And I also got a political campaign because of Sandman, which made no sense at all. But Sandman, that happened in my first year directing, and I was struggling. I came from an advertising career where I was doing really well. I was growing and getting paid really nicely and kind of growing in that career. And then I quit everything and started from the ground as a director. And I thought I was gonna get a lot of work immediately, and I spent a year losing every single pitch. I think I pitched like 20 things. I lost all of them.
Wow.
Because no one knew my name, and it was fine. Like it was just part of the process. But Sandman was honestly, I think the thing that kickstarted my commercial career, and it came from struggle, from getting really desperate that there's nothing I'm not making. I'm not being given the opportunity to direct any commercials. And then this little opportunity came up to make a film. It was part of a film series, and I was giving like a date where it has to be done by this date. So I was forced to shoot something, and Sandman came out of that. But you mentioned that it looked like a Reebok. I guess I did drop a little sequence in there to make it feel more commercially.
I see.
But it also kind of gave you a backstory as to what
Yeah.
the kids were about, because it was just a quick little moment of like emotion before getting to the real story, which was the team united.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. Like Sandman did open some doors, and
Wow.
that very first big commercial that came from that was this GE On Impossible campaign.
I see.
Which we shot in Kazakhstan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing place, man.
Thank you very much. I mean, like, you've been shooting in my hometown, and there was a double surprise. We have another question, but man, I'm gonna ask you about that one later on. I have something that bothers me a lot. And I've been asking this question from different directors, and it's so funny, like answers are always different. I want to talk about the chemistry and partnerships between the director and director of photography. It's just so funny how, like, I got different kind of answers. Someone telling me that he likes to control everything. I mean, like, in terms of the camera work. Some of the directors telling me like, no, man, like, I'm giving the space. I'm giving the space for creativity, so person can work. Like, I need some suggestions from a DOP, because he got paid for that job. Like, he's supposed to suggest something. Yeah. And yeah, it's like the two sides, you know. And I want to know your side.
Yeah, I am a bit of, like you said, like this friend of yours said that he likes to control everything. I'm similar, but I don't control things. I like to, by the time the DP lands, because DPs land a few days before the shoot generally, right? They're not involved from the beginning, or they're not involved in director scouting. They should be. It'd be so much better if you could do it all together, but a lot of the times, by the time they arrive, I want to have everything ready. Like, I want to have my storyboards, everything I've figured out already. I know exactly the angles and the shots and the light and everything, how I want it to happen. And then the DP comes in to help you bring that to life. But I don't say like, that's exactly what we're doing. Like, this is my guide, how we begin. And then I let the DPs in, like, help. If they have ideas, they want to shoot it differently, that's where you start collaborating. But I don't ever ask a DP for advice on how to get my shots. I know exactly how I want to tell the story and how I want those angles to work. And then once you're doing it together, I'm just allowing myself to be surprised and have ideas and try different things. Sometimes when there's time, I like to sort of get my shot and then say, what's your version of how would we shoot this? Or like, do you want to try something different? And it's fun, right? Because you get a different perspective, you get a different option. But I am very well prepared, and I like to show up with everything kind of figured out. I don't leave anything to chance much. But I do like in terms of picking collaborators and the people you work with, I am very much kind of emotional about DPs. I like to work with a human that I enjoyed to spend time with. Like, once I have people that I really enjoy working with them, and it becomes like a friendship and a trust, it's so much easier for me, because there's less discussions and less like clashes. So sometimes I do like to collaborate again with what I just consider to be friends. If we share the same kind of spirit, the same emotion, if they feel the same things that I feel, they'll capture the way, the film in the same way that I'm looking at it. So I do appreciate that, and I tend to sort of value those relationships and people that I work with that I just enjoy. Because so much of a shoot is not being on set. It's the scouts,
Yeah.
it's sharing time in a van, it's the conversations. Like, that's very valuable for me.
Yeah.
So it's just good people, decent humans that are enjoyable to work with and that are easy to work with. That's something I appreciate. And then I try to mix it up. I tend to go like many projects back to back together with DPs, and then I'm like, okay, it's nice to learn something new. So I try something
Yeah.
completely different, and then you learn from someone new. So it's nice to constantly keep it open and keep shifting it, because you're gonna learn so much by trying different experiences.
I see. Wow. Okay. Do you think that it's always going to be two sides of the camp? It's going to be like two camps, or like someday it just will go to the only one side? Talking about the way how director of photography should work.
Do you mind repeating? Sorry, I'm following, but I got. Can you ask
I
the
mean, I
question
mean,
again? Yeah.
I mean, like, do you think that one day it's all gonna stop? I mean, like, two camps gonna stop, will not gonna exist. I mean, it's gonna be only one way in terms of working with the director of photography.
So two camps, as in like.
Yeah, someone's like to control everything, and the other one is likes to collaborate more.
I um I guess it depends on the person in charge,
Yeah,
right? But I'm of the mentality that you should
yeah,
be so open as a director to like ideas and just
I see.
collaboration and seeing things differently. But at the same time, I do think as a director, it's your vision,
Yeah,
and you do have to fight for that. I've done it. I've had occasions where I kind of was influenced, and I knew exactly what I wanted, and I heard a different idea. I was like, okay, let's try that. And then I was like, why didn't I
yeah,
do what I wanted to do? Because it was exactly what I needed. So I
yeah,
think you do have to be strong in your point of view, uh, and it shows in the work. You know, you can see, like when I look at some of my favorite directors, I can see their work. It doesn't matter who shot it or how it
yeah,
was created. There's a style, there's an aesthetic,
yeah,
even the way they cast, or just there's something about it that is very personal, and it feels exactly like someone, like it's
yeah.
coming from one point of view. And I think that's important to welcome ideas and welcome collaboration, but it has to be your thing in the end. It has to have your personality, your soul in there.
That's the good one. Um, people are asking, um, people asking for your treatments.
I have.
They're
I don't have my
desperate on that
laptop
one.
here. I can't show anything.
I, my answer is please go and check Film Supply website.
The article? Yeah,
Uh,
there's an article on treatment that I
yeah,
wrote.
I
Yeah.
mean, like I was reading your article. I think that 1 year ago, and it just struck me, you know, because you wrote one very important thing in the end of the article. I'm working in the field in about like 2 years,
Yeah.
and I had one person who told me like your treatments are not that good. Why you wrote this way? You need to have this way. You can't add up more than 5 slides and something. I always keep it that way. But then I start feeling that like, you know, clients and agencies always ask for more, and those calls, they're getting longer. And I just realized that something is wrong about that. And I was so desperate to find that perfect formula for director treatments. And then I
Yeah.
just found your article on the Film Supply. We can actually leave that article link after we're gonna finish. And
Yeah.
the main part that Diego said is that uh, if I'm not wrong, you said something like, in the end of the day, it's wrote it like you want it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's the biggest response. Ignore the advice of whoever told you it should be 5 pages, it should be this.
yeah,
It should not be. It should be whatever you want it to be. It should be. I get in trouble all the time because I'd send my treatments and I hear and someone will say, "This is way too long. Like,
I
why is
see.
it too long? Why are your
Uh-huh.
scripts like it's a 30-second commercial? Why does it read like
I
a
see.
5-minute film?" I'm like, I don't care. Like, that's the film I want to make, and if I
Yeah,
lose it, I would rather lose it than make something that it's not what I want to do. So it's a
yeah,
risk. But there's no way of doing treatments, man. Like if my treatments were the best in the world, I wouldn't lose so many projects. I'd lose a bunch of
yeah,
projects. So who cares? Like I can make them. Some of my most beautiful treatments I lost very quickly.
yeah,
It's like a casino machine, right? There's gonna be
yeah,
3-5 people pitching. You never know if you're gonna win it. You just try your hardest, do the best you can,
yeah,
make it the most beautiful you can. Um, but make it yours, right? Like make it
yeah,
exactly the vision you want to make it. That's something I've learned is never be afraid to try your own version, and never make it exactly what they want, because I think that's boring, extremely boring. If you just sort of follow, here's a script, do exactly that. I want to make it my own. That's part of the fun and it's part of the risk, but it's worth it, because if you do win the project, then you'll make something that is going to be super fun for you because it's
yeah,
yours. It's no longer I'm directing someone else's vision, now it's mine. So yeah, no specific way of doing treatments, just kind of do your thing. I had another advice, but I'm forgetting. Let me think of that. I don't know. Oh yeah, I mean, just write it like it's coming from you. That's always really hard, but don't make it seem like it's don't write like you're writing to a bunch of business people. Like, you don't have to impress them with your words.
yeah,
Write it as if you're writing to a friend. And honestly, like, I struggle with that because sometimes I read my own treatments and I'm like, why am I saying so many like things about this brand? They don't care about that.
yeah,
They just want to see your point of view. So like, write it as simple and as basic as you can, and it's gonna read faster, because no one has, like, honestly, the creatives don't have the time. Sometimes they don't read your treatment like you expect them to read it. They might try
yeah,
to see it in 10 minutes because they have something else going on, right? So it has to be clear, it has to be fast and easy to understand. But write it like you would yourself. I remember one of the directors at our company, Reset, Ian Pons Jewell, who's one of my favorite directors. But I read one of Ian's treatments that he shared, and I was just laughing the whole time. And I was like, man, like, I
yeah,
write my treatments like the way I write, but this guy writes it
yeah.
like it's just comedy, man. I was laughing
I
because I
see.
was like, who writes to a client this way?
I see.
Who, like, the way he writes it is like he's just having fun. He could care
Yeah,
less if they hate what he's saying. But
yeah,
I was like, that's why his work is so good. This is someone
I
who's not
see.
afraid to do it his way, and you can learn from that, right? Like, it's just be yourself and
Yeah.
don't try to impress anyone, because it's gonna make you so much more likable if they can see you through the words and not some like lofty, fancy writer.
Yeah.
Someone is
Wow, this
asking if they can see the treatment. I don't have a computer with me.
for Apple, man, I think don't you think that sometimes like showing your treatments it's kind of personal? I mean, like it's personal information, or it's all right to, I mean, like to share it.
Um, Look, I used to share my treatments to everyone who asked.
I see.
I would send them through email. I was like, whatever. Like, in the end, I think it's about ideas.
Yeah.
Um, And then I got kind of disappointed that I saw people stealing not just my design, they were stealing my words.
Yeah, I see.
Like I saw someone put a Kickstarter video for a short film, and he included the treatment on the Kickstarter website, and it said, "Look at my treatment for," and I opened it, and it had exactly paragraphs for my treatment.
Wow.
I thought that was the nastiest thing I could imagine. It was just sad. I was like, do your own thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't copy it. So ever since that experience, I've been very careful, and I don't share them much more.
Yeah.
But I think in the end it's fine because generally I think a treatment is about a point of view and it's an idea. So yeah. I don't care so much. If people want to rip off the design, that's okay. I mean, you do spend a lot of time on them, so it's nice to keep them private. But in the end, it's like no one can steal ideas, right? That's something that comes from a director, so they can have a treatment. It doesn't really. I don't mind it so much. I think for friends, I'm willing to share. But I won't share it with strangers anymore because I think it's sad that people will just steal and copy.
I think it's the right choice, though. We have a question from Alif. He is asking you, who is your favorite director with a D name?
With a D name?
I think that the director whose name starts with a D.
Daniel Wolf in commercials.
Okay.
I'm just thinking quickly. I'm sure there's others. I was gonna say Martin de Thora, but his name doesn't start with a D unless.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it counts as well.
It counts.
Yeah. I see. Really. Okay. Oh, that one is the question that I kind of skipped. I don't know why. Joe and Sully asking you.
Joe.
Really cute. Yep, really curious to hear where you envision your career in the next 5 years.
Man, I'll say I like to go year by year. I don't necessarily think of myself in 5 years, but I do want to. My mission is I want to do 3 short films, and I want to have in the next 5 years my first narrative project. Whether it's TV or it's a movie. So that's my mission. It's very simple, but I don't want to attack anything long form narrative until I've done a few short films that I'm working on right now. Just because I want to get those done, and then I want to move on to my first feature. Hopefully, it can happen in the next 5 years.
We're gonna wait for that.
and that's honestly like I do commercials, but you have to. There's something beautiful about telling your own stories, and that can only happen whether it's personal work or it's narrative. Yeah. And so, I want to keep doing commercials and keep growing in that field. But my dream is just to tell my own stories.
I see. The question, I think that you can read it as well. Do you have a pre-edit of your projects before shooting?
A pre-edit, yes. A pre-edit, not really. Like a previs?
Like, what do you mean by that one?
I think it's like a previs, like a pre.
I mean, like pre-shoot, maybe.
Yeah, not really. I kind of know it in my head, but.
I mean, like when you're taking existing material and trying to. Что ты имеешь в виду?
Oh, maybe that's what it is. No, not really. Like sometimes I think it's called a rip or like a test video. No, I've
the what? Release?
Yeah, I've never done that, and I don't like to lock myself to. I think the edit for me is emotional. The edit is about feelings, and the last thing I want to do is try to match something that was done before we shot it. I think the material shapes itself. It comes with something new, and you kind of have to embrace that.
I think that we're kind of go to a finish line. It's almost over, and I know that in the end of all of our IG streams with great people, we asking them to show their workspace, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
Ali,
sure.
Ali sitting is in a different room right now. That's why I'm talking loud so he can hear me. So yeah. So
Yeah.
so you're gonna do that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So I'll switch the camera.
Yep.
But this is a garage. This is where we should park the cars. But I turned it into an office. So you see the garage there, right?
Yep.
So this is this is my desk here. This is just where I was.
Wow.
Where the phone was standing. But desk here. I used to skateboard a lot growing up, so I like to have skateboards on the wall.
I see.
Very simple, honestly. This is the space, because if I work at home, I get very distracted.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to have a personal little space where I don't have any. No, that's my wife's corner.
I see.
That's clearly not her Halo 4 book. That's mine. Because I'm a video game geek.
I see.
Oh, look, from Halo 4 to Halo 5.
Ah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
It's a small garage converted into an office space. But it's cool because it also, I can open this door and have a nice little
this
backyard.
Is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. I mean, like, how you cannot get any inspiration when you're sitting in this walls.
Yeah. It's, for me, it's about, it's a place where there's no distractions.
Yeah.
That's why I kept it as clean as possible, with no TV or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I can get very quickly distracted, so it's nice to get away from all that.
Well, that was a nice tour, and that was a nice time talking to you. I mean, Workspace really appreciate your time, and
of course,
you know,
thank you,
it's kind of symbolic to have a chat with you, because I mean, like, tomorrow, 2 days, and it's going to be a new year, and I think that you are the most right person to finish it with. Thank you very much for your vision. It's inspiring, so it's really inspiring. A lot of people that I know.
Thank you.
It inspires my community as well. And I hope that the new year for you gonna start like in a very good way. It's gonna, like, I think and I know, by seeing so far what we can see worldwide, talking about commercials, man, I know that everything will be good with you, and all the short films, all the big stuff. I hope that everything's gonna happen. So God bless you.
Thank you, man. You too, man. God bless you too, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. I have a little short film coming out. I saw someone asking here. Steady Drew. He's a steady cam who shot the short film.
I see.
I'm working on it, but I'm excited for it. It's a short film about COVID.
I see.
It's very simple, but it's a metaphorical vision on the COVID lockdowns, the reality that we've been forced to separate from each other. So it was kind of my way of expressing the emotions of separating ourselves from family, from friends, from the elderly. And it's a very emotional, very simple, metaphorical film on just how that feels, and how hopefully we don't get to the point where we forget about human touch and about human contact.
Wow.
Because it's very easy to just get distanced, but I think I hope as humanity that we don't forget about something as simple as a hug or a handshake.
Yeah.
You know, because sadly we're at least where we live, we're seeing it less and less. Like I see it with my neighbors. They stay very far from us. They don't come close, and I hope that we don't just adjust and just that becomes just the way we live now. So that this film is kind of my way of hoping that we what makes us human is togetherness and closeness, that we can keep fighting for that, even if there's a force out there that's not even if it's dangerous or whatever's going on right now. That I just hope that we can keep being who we are as humans and never forget the value of community. So hopefully you'll see it in the next couple of months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. You too.
See ya.